Good afternoon, I'm Anthony Lugg. Thanks for joining us for the latest news. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. We begin with news overseas. Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th President of the United States an hour ago. Alongside Mr. Biden, Kamala Harris was sworn in as the United States' first female Vice President. Outgoing President Donald Trump, who has not formally conceded to Mr. Biden, snubbed the ceremony. He is the first president not to attend his successor's inauguration since 1869. However, former Vice President in the Donald Trump administration Mike Pence and his wife Jill were among those in attendance. As the U.S. grapples with the fallout of the Capitol Hill insurrection and roiling from the raging pandemic, Mr. Biden takes office at one of the most fraught times in recent memory. More from the CNN.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart, and I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump made his farewell address before leaving office in his official capacity for the last time, hours before Joe Biden was inaugurated. Mr. Trump took Marine One to the nearby Joint Base Andrews, where he and First Lady Melania Trump addressed supporters. In his speech, Trump, for the first time, expressed best wishes for the new administration. Mr. Trump also hailed his administration's record, adding that he had left a strong foundation for the new administration. He touted his appointment of 3 Supreme Court justices, creation of the new military space force, and a strong economy before the pandemic, and the development of COVID-19 vaccines.
I want to thank all of my family and my friends and my staff and so many other people for being here. I want to thank you for your effort, your hard work. People have no idea how hard this family worked. They worked, and they worked for you. They could have had a much easier life, but they did a fantastic job. I just want to thank all of you, everyone. I want to thank Mark Meadows, who's here, someplace right there. I want to thank Mark. But it's been something very special. We've accomplished a lot. Our First Lady has been a woman of great grace and beauty and dignity. I want to thank our Vice President, Mike Pence, and Karen. I want to thank Congress because we really worked well with Congress, at least certain elements of Congress. But we really did. We've gotten so much done that nobody thought would be possible. But I do want to thank Congress. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So, have a good life. We will see you soon.
And in the final hours of his presidency, Donald Trump pardoned 73 people, including his former advisor Steve Bannon, who was facing fraud charges. Another 70 people had sentences reduced. Rapper Lil Wayne received a pardon, and there were commutations for rapper Kodak Black and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. Mr. Trump did not issue preemptive pardons for himself or family members. And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back. Continuing the news. The government is again cutting spending for the 2021 fiscal year to compensate for reduced revenues due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The third supplementary estimate tabled in Parliament on Tuesday by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke shows that the government will reduce spending by a further $3.5 billion.
Based on the current forecast for GDP, it is estimated that central government revenue will be $8.6 billion lower than projected for the second supplementary estimates. Given this expectation and taking into account the critical expenditures that are still required, particularly in relation to elements of the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 response, so even though we are seeing that we're projecting revenue will be $8.6 billion lower than in the second supplementary, we still have increased expenses, like from health.
The Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, will hold a special meeting on Thursday to review the proposed amendments to the budget. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has projected that not many Jamaicans would be willing to take the COVID-19 vaccine when it becomes available. This after a recent survey revealed that only 35% of the population would be willing to take the vaccine. According to the PAHO survey, a comprehensive social behavior change communication plan was being developed, and the uptake of the influenza vaccine has averaged only 50% over the years. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has underscored that acceptance and uptake of the COVID-19 vaccines is critical to slowing the spread of the infection, reducing deaths, and rebuilding the economy.
We know, however, Madam Speaker, that introducing a new vaccine, especially through new delivery methods, may be challenging due to public mistrust and misinformation. As such, Madam Speaker, the Ministry will be undertaking a national-level advocacy encouraging citizens to vaccinate against COVID-19. A robust public education and sensitization campaign will be implemented by the Ministry aimed at increasing acceptance and uptake of the vaccine.
The vaccine plan has outlined that surveys and focus group discussions will be conducted in February and key messages and materials developed for public communications and advocacy. The government is planning to spend about $3 billion to roll out phase 1 of the local vaccine program, with the first doses to be delivered on April 21. Approximately 16% of the population is to be vaccinated this year and another 16% next year. The Sydney Pagan STEM Academy in St. Elizabeth remains closed for the second consecutive day after 2 positive cases of COVID-19 were recorded at the institution. The school, which is among 129 institutions that were deemed fit to resume face-to-face classes by the Education Ministry, had to close on Monday to minimize the risk of exposure. It's not clear whether the positive cases were students or members of staff. We will provide further details on this developing story in subsequent newscasts. Jamaica has recorded 2 new COVID-19 related deaths, pushing the death toll to 331. The Ministry of Health says another death is being investigated. Meanwhile, 68 new COVID-19 cases were confirmed yesterday. The country's case count now stands at 14,487. Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine recorded the highest number of new cases. The health ministry says 111 patients remain hospitalized with a respiratory illness. 9 of them are in critical condition. People seeking medical attention at the Santa Cruz Health Center in St. Elizabeth are complaining about the uncomfortable circumstances under which they have to wait to get service. Those who frequent the medical facility are appealing to the relevant authorities to address the matter urgently. The patients claim they have to wait outside the gate of the facility in queues before getting medical attention. They argued that they are uncomfortable in the designated waiting area due to the constant running water. They claim the situation has been like this for weeks.
Water here, burn good while now, and then they come fix it.
So you have to stand in the way?
If you have to walk in night time, then we can do better.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In the next edition of the health report, we'll look at cervical cancer.
A pap smear is a simple in-office procedure. It takes about 5 minutes, if so long, to get it done. And it's relatively painless. It may cause a bit of discomfort. And what we're doing is basically looking in the vagina, the walls of the vagina. We look at the cervix itself. And we use a small instrument. Sometimes it's a wooden spatula or sometimes a brush that we just swipe across the cervix. It takes us a couple seconds to do that. And that's it.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Go for routine pap tests. Follow up on abnormal pap smears with your medical doctor. Practice safe sex and quit smoking.
To news in sports now. Despite ending with the best figures by a West Indian left-arm spinner on his day one international debut, Akeal Hussain could not inspire the Caribbean side to a victory as they went down by 6 wickets to Bangladesh in the first of 3 games in Dhaka on Wednesday. Hussain ended with figures of 3 for 26 from 10 overs as Bangladesh, needing 123 to win, got to victory at 125 for 4. Captain Tamim Iqbal top scored with 44 as Bangladesh took a 1-0 lead in the series. Earlier, after being asked to bat, the Windies, who gave debuts to 6 players, were bundled out for just 122 in 32.2 overs. Barbadian Kyle Mayers top scored with 40 on debut, while Jamaican Rovman Powell made 28. Jamaicans Mr. Bonner and Andre McCarthy, who were both making their debuts, went for 0 and 12 respectively. Joshua Da Silva, Akeal Hussain, and Kamar Holder were the other players to make their debut for the West Indies. Former captain Shakib Al Hassan was the pick of the Bangladesh bowlers with 4 for 8, while debutant Hassan Mahood claimed 3 for 28. Meanwhile, stand-in ODI captain Jason Mohammed has credited his bowlers for the fight they showed in the team's 6-wicket defeat to Bangladesh. He was, however, quick to criticize the team for its poor performance with the bat.
Yeah, I think it was. Obviously, they bowled well. They got the ball to move a little bit. We always know they were coming with a balanced attack, 3 seamers, 2 spinners. So I think it was a good bowling performance from us. And as I said, hopefully next game we can put in a better performance with the back. Obviously, I think we have to give ourselves a little bit more time. Obviously, it's difficult to score in the middle with the spinners. So I think negotiation, that part of the innings is going to be more crucial for us. And obviously, we need to play that period of bowling a little bit better.
And that's the end of our newscast. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.